I tell y'all, man, I'm excited. Look, it's so many reasons to be excited. I got a special guest today. Not only that, Ravens football is back, man. Ravens football is back, and I ain't gotta watch the craziness of last season continue. But I tell y'all this. I tell y'all this. I kind of, I looked at the schedule. There ain't a lot of prime time games and stuff like that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I kind of like. I kind of like that the Ravens might be flying a little bit under the radar. All right, what is going on, good people? Without further ado, right after all the craziness and all that, Flock Nation Speaks, episode 18, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy to think about. Episode 18. I don't know a Ravens player by 18 right now. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna do an informal introduction, then I'm gonna see if Hendo know one. I got a special guest today, coming from. What is it? What is it? Let break it down for me. It is Ravens
online
Gatekeepers. I got to make sure I get the because the first time, bro, I was like Gatekeepers, and I was like, wait a minute, he got that little in there. He snuck that in there on us. But another fellow Ravens YouTuber. I always like to hear the different opinions from the Ravens flock, because there are so many opinions, right? There are the we gonna stick with the Ravens flock no matter what they do. If they don't bring any wide receiver, oh, never mind. And then we got the other, we got the other side that's a little bit more critical. Like, why y'all doing that? So, and I feel like Hendo is one of those dudes where he gonna let you know if he feeling some type of way. You gonna know about it. But go ahead and introduce yourself, man, and let people know where they can find you, and also what got you, just a little quick introduction of what got you into kind of the Ravens YouTube scene.
Ooh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's Ravens Online on Gatekeeper. You can find me on YouTube. I do a show every Sunday, 6 p.m. for the season. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at @rgatekeepers. As far as what got me into YouTube, I think it all started with the pandemic. It was nothing much on TV. They weren't making anything new because they didn't want to risk having people around. So I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos. And the first person I came across, of course, Mr. Engraving.
Yep.
And I was just like, it's pretty interesting. I didn't think much of it. Then it introduced me to Purple Rain Gang. And then that took me to Lunch Break Hot Take. Once I got to Lunch Break Hot Take, it was like, I always wanted to give my opinion, but I had seemed to be like one of the very few people that kind of spoke negatively, so to speak, on some of the Ravens moves. And then when I found Lunch Break Hot Take, I was like, oh, so you can be, if you want to call it, successful at giving your opinion no matter what. So I hooked up with them. They gave me some pointers, and then I just started making videos from there.
I love it. Like I said, man, I just, and that's how I started. Like, Engraving was a guy that I watched, and I asked like a question, one of the questions from subscribers type things. I've watched Lunch Break Hot Take. I like them a lot. And I just kind of continued to find like, YouTubers I liked, and I was already doing like, we were doing picks over on the other podcast I do. We were doing picks, so I was like, let me talk about the Ravens. Let me just see, let me see what this is all about. And I started jumping into these crazy Twitter spaces, and after this offseason, I started hearing the Bengals fans. Oh goodness! But nonetheless, real quick to get into it, episode 18, Flock Nation Speaks. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor. If you want to watch us, of course, it is YouTube. Facebook as well. But I always like to start with an icebreaker because I feel like this lets me get to know my guests, lets me get to know my audience, what y'all talking about, right? This let me get to know, and I'm gonna take it way back. I'm gonna go way back, time machine. Y'all remember Y'all remember, and not too far back, it's probably a couple years. Y'all remember when this whole what was it? It was like chicken sandwich mania was going on with Popeyes and Chick-fil-A. And I have this fight with my girlfriend all the time about
Okay.
which sandwiches, not necessarily which sandwich is better, but one of them is trifling, and she likes this trifling sandwich. I don't understand it, but nonetheless, let's throw it up. Nonetheless, what's the best chicken sandwich? And it ain't got to be out of these two, obviously, but uh, what's the best one? It's obviously Chick-fil-A. That look. That
So hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute. So what you're saying is you are guiding me to which one you want me to answer to.
yes, I need you to go ahead and just put it in agreement, right? Put it in agreement that Popeye's chicken sandwich is down below, and Chick-fil-A's is the one. Okay. Now, albeit I've tried Popeyes a couple times. They can put sauce on it. They can now if they put that sweet heat on there, I might change my mind a little bit. Might change my
Okay.
mind a little bit.
But
But
see, but see, that's the thing. You can put that sauce on it yourself.
that's true. That's
So
true. I have
so
to try
that
that.
you have to factor that in. Like it's about the totality of the sandwich. It's not just about how it comes plain. Like you could like so I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
this. I'm gonna tell you this. So this is my answer, and this is how it rolls. I'm gonna have to go with Chick-fil-A by default
Okay.
because around the time that the Popeyes sandwich came out, I had gone vegan, so I wasn't eating the
Ah,
meat.
makes sense.
So I liken it to getting an Impossible Whopper, let's say from Burger King.
Mhm.
I can't get mayonnaise on it and certain things like that. But when I get home, I can put vegan mayonnaise on it and the vegan toppings that I want. So it's up to you what you
Okay.
want to do with the sandwich. You don't have to eat it the way that you actually got it from the store.
Okay. You see, and that's what kind of gets me. And ironically enough, I was thinking, what if Hendo was vegan and I asked this question and he can't answer the question? No, but I really did think of that. I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to go. But anyway, but at the same time, I do like authentic responses. So every once in a while, I like to sneak it in there and see what you say. But I like how you went about that because, like, I guess what got me was like the Popeyes one. I feel like the tenders and all that, like the other chicken, is better than the sandwich. Like the sandwich is like a completely different thing, and I think they went too far. They went too far, of course. They just
See,
went too far.
listen, this may be a discussion for another time, but I don't see, listen, we don't really know each other that well. And we talk here to talk football, but I can take stuff down a rabbit hole for you. And I can tell you
Uh
about that
oh.
Popeyes chicken sandwich, bro.
Uh oh.
I can tell you some things about that sandwich.
Uh oh. See, it's gonna be a discussion. See, we're gonna be on a tangent. We're gonna be on a. We already 8 minutes in. We're gonna be on a tangent, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, let's talk about these Ravens. What we came here for, right? Like
Okay.
main event, the precursor, right?
Right.
Uh, but I always like to do that just to break the ice with whoever I'm talking to or whatever. Just have a little fun before we get too serious. You never know. You don't know
No,
who
no.
you're across the. But
This factually
no,
correct.
nonetheless, the Ravens coming in. First things first. I gotta hear from you since since you might be Mr. I should say Mr. Unpopular Opinion, right?
Facts.
With the ungatekeepers, right?
Facts.
What's going on with Lamar Jackson contract, man? Is this the Ravens being cheap for the Ravens being cheap, or is this just like, oh, we gonna make him prove it? Like I'm beyond confused. Sometimes I can't even put the words out there that I want to because I'm frustrated, right? Like as a Ravens fan, I'm like, what are y'all doing? This dude is everything to this team. What's your take on the contract situation right now?
So let me start this off with, I like how you say you want authentic, organic answers, right? But I have to ask, I'm gonna go with the flow type individual.
Okay.
I want to know because it's certain people's channels that like to have a certain narrative going, and I don't want to skew that or push anybody away. So, do you want the Purple Patrol answer, or do you want me to give you my real honest
I,
opinion on this?
I want the real honest opinion because I need to know. Like I have talked about this so many times and I'm still sitting here like, what is going on?
All right. So the real issue with this contract is it's kind of a clash of egos. You know, men as men, we have very big egos. Now, the issue that we have with Lamar is, excuse me, but we had this little black boy with his southern drawl who people don't really know if he's intelligent or not. We know he's intelligent, but outside forces may not believe that. So you take into account that you have this individual who doesn't have representation. He doesn't do things from the norm, and you're coming in here going up against billionaires. And ego aside, like I said, they can't do that where they say, you know what, you're right, you're worth more to this franchise than these draft picks that we would get from shipping you somewhere else. But I can't let this little black boy make me look stupid. Deshaun Watson already did that with Haslam in Cleveland. So
Mhm.
I can't have that in Baltimore. So I just think it's more ego of me letting this little quote unquote ghetto boy get the best of me in a contract negotiation. That's why they don't want to give him the money. Now, to my understanding, I could be wrong, but from some sources that I heard, Lamar said, listen, you don't have to give me a fully guaranteed contract. We can do one of two things. You can either give me 200 mil guaranteed, or you can get rid of Greg Roman. The choice
Mm.
is yours. And of course, they're like, who are you to give me an ultimatum? We're going to go with neither. And
Right.
that's how we end up where we are right now.
Right. Yeah. I didn't think about it that way. I have thought about the race card of it, of course, because I mean Lamar is just authentic. You know, speaking of authenticity, you know, he's just realistically himself, right? Like that. Like he don't want to change for nobody, and that's what I love about him. You know, he ain't gonna change. He ain't gonna change his game for nobody. He ain't gonna let nobody sit here and talk about how he can't throw when he literally would protect receivers with his throws. The
Mhm.
way he throws the ball, like considering doing more with less, like even you know, like it's crazy to me, man. I saw Kyler get paid. I literally scoffed at the TV when I was in a public restaurant. I was like, really? I was like, really? We want to have this whole argument about the playoffs, right? Playoffs, right? We want to have this
Playoffs.
whole playoffs argument, but
Right.
then Kyler's done nothing in the playoffs. But then his extension was warranted. Make it make sense. So and I've always been like the whole numbers thing. The
Mhm.
whole numbers thing just it ain't about the numbers to me. I think Engraven is the one that says numbers don't tell the whole story, or he found that from somebody, and he, you know, but I
Right.
hear him say it quite often. And my thing is like you're in a run first offense
Mhm.
with a run first coordinator in a
Mhm.
run first organization, and for some reason we want you to put up 5,000 yards passing with no receivers. And you've already led the league in passing with no receivers.
Right.
No offense to Hollywood. Hollywood is good, but like Hollywood is what they want. Like Hollywood, they wanted Hollywood to be like a Tyreek Hill type. He never hit that potential, right?
Listen,
You know, that's what they was looking for. Hollywood, you know,
okay, listen, I'm gonna have to interject on this, and I'm
oh,
sorry.
oh,
And I agree with what you're saying, but I'm listen. Now this is the one thing that kind of gets me a little excited when people start talking about Hollywood. Is Hollywood Tyreek Hill? No, not at all. Not even close. But he wasn't that far off, in my opinion. Now, was he asked to do the things that Tyreek Hill did? Yes, he was. But was he put in those situations? Even if we take a look in the last year, what happened was, if you look at the beginning of the season, and I tell my homies all the time, this is the James Prochet effect. A lot of people don't like James Prochet, but I say this is the James Prochet effect, in my opinion. James Prochet made that wide receiver room tougher. If you remember in the beginning of the season, Hollywood would fight for yards. Hollywood, sometimes it took two or three dudes to drag him down. He did all these extra things and he was balling. Now, when it came time to, let's say, start talking about fifth year option contract extension, the Ravens were like, let's change how we use him. We're going to start throwing screens 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
mm,
We're going to start throwing a 2 yard slant. They purposely dimmed his light. Now, put him in the situation with Patrick Mahomes. I wish they'd have traded him to Kansas City. I hate, as a Ravens fan, I know this wrong, but I wish they would have, just so you could see how he could be utilized. Would he be Tyreek Hill? Not at all. But I guarantee you his numbers will jump up there. And that's why he went to Arizona, because
Yeah.
they know how to scheme wide receivers open. He got 1,000 yards in a run first offense with a 1,300-yard tight end.
Mm-hmm.
He did what we asked him to do. Did we give him help? All the help that he needed? No. Rashad Bateman was out. Sammy Watkins was hurt. He pretty much was the only thing we had on the outside. And come playoff time, for some reason, that's when they unleashed him, and he showed you what he could do in the playoffs. So with the Hollywood hate, I understand and I get it, because he didn't look the part. But what he was asked to do, in my opinion, he did it.
Yeah, and I think I I may have sounded like I'm anti Hollywood, like trade him away, get him out. It ain't that big of a loss.
No.
Like, so for me, my biggest thing with Hollywood is I mean, Hollywood didn't have help either, right? You brought in Hollywood. They never put Hollywood in a position to really be successful, I don't think. Like, why they just limited him so much? Why is he on the outside when he works better in the slot? Why is he running you
Because
use him as the go route master, but like, let him run in between the tackles every once in a while, right? Like, let him like free up some other guys a little bit. And I think he did that. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, I think he did, because you have to respect Hollywood's speed, right? I think you have to respect his speed. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, that was another move that the Ravens made that I sat here and thought, why? Like, we talk about never having too much, right? That's been like, I feel like the motto for Ravens fans who are thinking about like actually thinking about like Lamar's progression and the receivers progression. We're like, you can never have too much. That's why I was like, I'm not saying Julio Jones is what he used to be, but Julio Jones is Julio Jones, right? Like, if he's available, he's out there, take your chance on him. And like that whole situation frustrated me. And then I'm thinking, and the Ravens play this little mind game with you, because I'm sitting here thinking, oh snap, okay, they trust these guys they got in the locker room, but Prochet has been out here and they don't, for whatever reason, won't use him, and he be dogging people. They still don't want to use him,
bro.
right?
You know why they don't. You know why they don't want to use him. Like, it's like, let's be real about the situation. You know exactly why they don't want to use him, because you can't. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that you get 74 yards in a game and then you sit for the next two.
It don't make sense. It really don't. And I just.
So is it the talent or the coaching?
I think it's the coaching. I think. I mean, we oh God. We go down this rabbit hole. Like, we've seen, like, in these playoff games, these big games that Lamar can't win, coaching typically is the issue. Why in the Miami game are you not making any adjustments? And by the way, let's forget, because back to the whole Lamar conversation, Lamar has this narrative that he can't read defenses and he can't make pre-snap adjustments. Okay, explain to me how you making pre-snap adjustments. You get to the you don't get you get to play in late. You get to the line of scrimmage with 5 seconds left. I can't read a defense that quick either. I can't read a defense at home that quick. I know Lamar in real time can't read it that quick. Like,
and you don't have time to make a check. You don't have time to make a check.
Ridiculous, man. Like, it's just it's honestly, I think it's coaching, definitely. And I think too, like, Lamar gets this criticism for having a good defense because the organization wants the Ravens to have a good defense, but the defense has folded in some pretty big moments too, like when they probably could have made that one more stop to get guys back in the game. Like, but
hey DJ, what good defense? Which year?
See,
which year? Now, I'm not saying our defense was bad, but what dominant defense have we had?
That's true.
So
that's true.
So, this is in my with my buddies. This is a discussion that we have, because you have your sector of the Ravens fans that still want to do the run the ball, control the clock, play hard-nosed defense. Yeah. And my rebuttal to that is, let's think about the 2004 and 2006 Ravens. Arguably, to me, those defenses were better than the 2000 Ravens. One of those years, we had Steve McNair went 13-3, right?
Yep.
Held Peyton Manning to some field goals and lost the playoff game. So If that narrative didn't work with historic defenses, how are we supposed to win now with a so-so defense and a lame duck offense? Now I know Isaiah Likely is the savior now. He's the flavor of the week because every time somebody has a good quarter, good half, a good game, they are the new it in Baltimore. I could come out at almost 50 years old and have a good quarter in a practice, and somebody gonna be like, "That's the next one right there. He's taking us to the Super Bowl."
Yeah, and I on that defensive conversation, like, and I feel like that's why, like, Ravens fans who actually watch, like, we watch the games,
Mhm.
like, we understand like how valuable Lamar is, because let's not forget, bad offensive line. Like, that
Mhm.
offensive line is not nearly as good as like the stats or whatever y'all want to say.
Right.
That offensive line is not nearly that good. Lamar's ability to escape. Like, I looked at the stats last year in the games that he played, he was sacked 38 times. Like, he sacked 38 times and he can evade sacks. Joe
Mhm.
Burrow was sacked 51 times. So on average, Lamar was going to catch him if it kept going the way it was going.
Right.
But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about how the offensive line is not nearly as good as people think it is. Nobody wants to talk about this whole the X factor of Greg Roman and what kind of game is he gonna call this game, as opposed to, oh, did I step on a toe or two?
No, 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 you didn't step on a toe, but so for the longest, for the last couple years, I'm like you, Greg Roman, Greg Roman, Greg Roman, until I sat back and started to look. Because listen, I'm not like 60% of the Ravens flock knew because Lamar came and now 2019 happened and I'm a fan. I've been a fan since inception. I'm from Baltimore. I've lived in Baltimore. So this is my team. I've watched them through good and bad, through the beginning when we had offense and no defense. But Greg Roman, excuse me, Greg Greg Roman is not the problem
Mm-hmm.
because we can fire him tomorrow. Jonathan Horrible is going to bring in, yeah, I said it right, Horrible is going to bring in another offensive coordinator just like him. The Cam Camerons, the Marty Morningwigs, like the Mark Trestmans, like he brings in the same type of individual. We can blame Roman for his limitations, and we can blame him from still using that same playbook from 2011 and not making many many changes. But where does the head coach? When does he get the blame when he steps in and says, "Bruh, you need to update your playbook"? Like they're on TV and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube showing our formations with the Buffalo Bills and San Francisco 49ers, the exact same formations,
Yep.
no variations whatsoever. So when does the head coach step in? Even with Wink being the scapegoat for the defense, when does the head coach say, "Bruh, it's fourth down. Why are you
Yeah.
all out blitzing"?
Yeah.
When does that blame fall on the head coach? So I just think that if we fire Greg Roman, he's just going to bring in another clone. And because we have a system in Baltimore, just like everybody is, and I'm hopeful and I'm praying with Mike McDonald. Everybody's like, yeah, we got Mike McDonald, but we have a system here, and all we do is bring in bodies and names, but the system remains the same.
Yeah. And I go back and forth with Harbaugh, because on one hand, he's been there, he's been consistent, but on the other hand, I guess him being a special teams guy, is he to, like, he's a players coach. Is he to put your foot down type of a coach that probably a gritty Ravens team that we're used to seeing, is that what they really need? I go. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I go back and forth with it, man. Like, I really do. Like, I'm like,
I'm sorry, but listen, John, listen, and like I said, for people that know me, I've been asked for John Harbaugh to get fired since the playoff run of 2012. During the Super Bowl run, I was like, we need to fire this guy. I see a problem coming, and I've been saying this since 2012. My issue with him is so first let me say, is he a great motivator of men? Yes, he is. I give him that. He can motivate a team, but can he lead a team? Because I just before I got on here, Joe Flacco was on a Jets podcast he was talking about Scott about being with Harbaugh and everything, and he was like, "Listen, back then we had 3 hour straight practices with no breaks. They didn't let you stretch. They just went 3 hours hard, and that's kind of how the mutiny happened in 2012. So once that happened, the players revolted after 2012. John Harbaugh said, "Listen, I don't need any strong personalities in here undermining my authority. And ever since then, we really don't play like Ravens because we want choir boys. We don't want anybody with a chip on their shoulder. And the biggest thing for me that has me on this, I don't really care too much for John Harbaugh, is he said, I will never hire anyone that can take my job. So you're telling me that you are not going to hire the best minds that you can to put the best product on the field.
Yeah.
And if you hire, let's say if he'd hired Sean McVay out of Washington, you don't have to worry about your job because if we're winning, you don't have to go anywhere.
Yep.
Stop worrying about what could happen and what should happen and do your job. Don't just bring in guys that you are buddy with that can be serviceable. Can you imagine if we had Andy Reid type mind coaching Lamar and we actually traded for Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah.
Imagine where we would be with all that right now.
I mean, it's crazy, man. And you know, I've seen like the the what they say hood Harbaugh, the yes man Harbaugh type. I've seen it, and like I said, I struggle with it because he's been there, but at this, he was there during the Super Bowl run, but at the same time, I'm like, something got to give, right? Like why are we not making it over the hump? Like
ego.
We talked about it. There's so much potential. There's so much potential. It's right there, right? Like it's like this is the same team that went 14-2 2 years ago with. I mean, Hollywood was hurt, right? Hollywood was hurt, and the defense, they was ranked top 5, but okay, but like you know how it is, man. But let's jump into the season. What do we expect? What do we expect from this season? I'm just excited by the fact that the Ravens are going to be hopefully back to form. I'm not watching preseason Ravens the whole season because of injuries. Right. I kind of get like, okay, we get full strength Ravens because the Bengals have been talking. They've been annoying me all off season, and they lost the Super Bowl. I could only imagine if they won it. Like, all
right. So let me just. I'm sorry. Let me just throw this in here real quick. Yes, in the few spaces I've been in with the Bengals, they are unbearable. But you know what? You're defending AFC champions. I can't take that away from you. But I look at it like this: you took a very flawed team and went to the Super Bowl. Unlike the Ravens, you know what they did? They said, listen, we have problems on the offensive line, and signed 2 offensive linemen, 2 very good ones. They said, hey, we've got some problems in the back end of the defense. Went and signed a corner. I mean, they went and drafted a corner and a safety. So they took the weaknesses of this team and addressed them. They didn't say, you know what? Let's go for best player available, or let's go into free agency for this player to plug a hole to something that we already have. We're going to plug the holes that we need and try to be better. So rightfully so, they have a reason to talk because my Super Bowl representing self made my team better. So until it's proven otherwise, I'm still the reigning AFC champion.
I give you that. And I
don't like it.
It's just frustrating, man. Considering all the dominoes that fell for the Ravens last season, and for them to go to the Super Bowl and then talk like they talk, I'm ready. Like I don't remember what week it is, week 7, week 9, something like that. I'm ready for that
week
game.
5.
Like
week 5.
Is it week 5?
I know the first one is in week 5.
I'm ready because now if y'all dog us and we healthy, then I might just put the mic up and walk away. I might be so frustrated at that point.
Don't say that.
No, I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to actually give the authentic. We got to go back to the beginning, the authentic opinion on that.
Yeah, don't say that, man, because you never know what could happen. One of the things that I have issue with, and this goes back to John Harbaugh, Greg Roman to a sense. And I don't like being one of the people that say, hey, you don't know football, not you personally, but you don't know football or you don't understand football or certain things like that. But what some people don't really understand is, unlike us, when you have a bad offensive line, when your offensive coordinator scheme certain plays, it's in lieu of you having that bad offensive line. That's why Cincinnati was so successful, because of the plays that they drew up, knowing my offensive linemen are bad. Unlike us with 10, 15-second development plays downfield, knowing we got a guy playing tackle that even the Steelers with their bad offensive line didn't want. So it's just sad that we've wasted 4 years of Lamar's career. And
Yeah.
this year, we potentially have another year wasted with this. Let's wait and see what these young receivers do.
Yeah.
Why does Lamar have to wait? Kyler Murray's not waiting. Shoot, Jalen Hurst, he's not waiting. They drafted Devontae Smith and went out and got AJ Brown. Nobody, Tua, Tyreek Hill. Nobody else is waiting. None of these other coaches with these top flight quarterbacks are saying, hey, we got these third, fourth, and sixth round receivers. They combined might have like 700 yards in 3 years, but let's see what they can do. Shoot, Tom Brady got Russell Gage and Julio Jones to go along with what he had.
Yeah.
But we got Demarcus Robinson, y'all. So
that was a signing too. And my boy in the background is a Chiefs fan, so he knows all about Demarcus Robinson. I'll add him in here in a minute, but he
I know about Demarcus Robinson.
I seen it on the other end.
Listen, I got a question for
that
him.
defense. That defense we talked about.
I got a question for him, because in the spaces, I like to listen to all spaces, because I like just to see how everybody does things. So I've been in Chief spaces, and for some reason, the day that we signed him, all they kept saying was Demarcus Robinson runs backwards. Like, that's all they kept saying, and I want to ask him, what does that mean that he runs backwards?
See, and that's the thing, like, it's not that he's a bad pickup, but like, where's the guys who, like, okay, I'm a DB, that guy right there, I gotta worry about him, right? Oh, no, I'm not gonna worry about him, I'm gonna worry about 8, right? Like, that's what blows me away, because Lamar is that darn dynamic that you're gonna focus on him at all times. But just imagine, right? Just imagine giving him Mike Evans, giving him Chris Godwin, giving him, even some of the guys who got traded, AJ Brown, right. DK was thinking about it, Debo, any of these guys. Because my thing is, I'm one for the sure thing, right? Let's go for the guy who, it's fine to have all these draft picks and fifth rounders and sixth rounders and all that. Like, I'm fine with that, but let's go for more of a sure thing, right? Like, AJ Brown didn't proven that he's that dude, right? DK didn't proven that he's that dude, right? Like, they didn't proven that they can be that guy, right?
Right.
I'm excited about Bateman. I'm excited about the potential of Bateman, but until Bateman proves it,
right,
to everybody, right, more consistently, right? Once again, it's a wait and see year, just like you said, it's a wait and see year. So we're gonna have to wait and see what they're gonna do. Once him and Prochet and these guys, they prove it to everybody, cool, but it never hurts. It never hurts when you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all these guys to add in an extra guy, right? Zach Ertz was one of those guys that the Cardinals decided they needed, and they had talent too. DeAndre Hopkins, we was talking about it before. They had talent, but DeAndre Hopkins puts us right up there, right? Puts us over the top, right? Like that.
So what you're saying is the Arizona Cardinals didn't say, hey, we don't want DeAndre Hopkins. Let's let Isabella develop. Let's let Christian Kirk develop and see what he can do. They didn't say that. They said, you know what? We got a chance pretty much for a second or third round pick to get DeAndre Hopkins. Yep. And they went out and got him. Me personally, so once again, Ravens flock, and they get excited about every little thing. But you're telling me that the
Bridges.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that, dude. But the third or fourth option on a passing team in Kansas City that couldn't put up 600 yards is going to come to a running team as our number 3 option and do something?
You would have been better off with Hollywood. Like at least Hollywood proved that even with like you said, with 1,000-yard tight end that you might target more than me, I can still put up numbers. I mean, Hollywood, and like, even sometimes I forget, Hollywood has made some big catches, like
Dallas,
some
Cincinnati.
huge catches, daggers, like
Back in the end zone, toe taps. They talk about his
mhm,
drop. And my biggest problem is they talk about his drops. Hollywood had 6 drops last year, 3 against Detroit. So that means in the other games he had 3 drops. Any Ravens fan can name your favorite receiver that you wanted to bring to the Ravens. They had more drops than Hollywood.
mhm. And I mean, like we said, the Ravens don't like. My thing is, and I was talking about this last week with the Lamar situation. The Ravens don't really pay people. Like they don't really pay players. Like they will ship you off and then get some draft picks and hope the draft picks were as good as you were.
So,
Like
so you talking about CJ Mosley and Patrick Queen?
yes, right. Like I mean, they will every time, and like back to the best player available thing that blows my mind. I'm a Sixers fan. They do the same thing. Best player available got us like 5 centers over the course of like 3 years. Like this is why I don't like best player available. We had Joel Embiid, freaking
Nor
Jaleel Okafor, Nerlens Noel. You don't need all these centers. They
right,
can't all play at the same time.
right.
It was wild to me, bro. But I added in Justin, as you can see, our relative Chiefs fan. He snuck in on me. I did it to him, so he getting me back.
Yeah, I'm getting you back right here. I just wanted to pop in for a minute.
But Hendo said he had a question for you in terms of being a Chiefs fan and this whole Demarcus Robinson, who we gonna celebrate. I feel like we just get the guys that the Chiefs don't want, because Sammy was one of them. And Demarcus, who I went, if since the Chiefs didn't want Tyreek Hill, why they? Oh, sorry, the price was too high. My bad. Price was too high.
No. We don't value talent on offense in Baltimore.
That's right. So sad.
Oh, okay. So my question is, why do all Chiefs fans keep referring to Demarcus Robinson as the guy that runs backwards?
I don't really understand that. Like, I never understood why people say that. Like, I think that's kind of weird. Like, I guess I never really understood that. No.
What's your thoughts on Demarcus?
I don't think he's
did we
bad.
get the steal of this offseason, baby? This man, he about to be the steal. He about to be yamming on people. Like it's about to be like that. He gonna overtake Rashad Bateman. I heard it. Somebody did said it.
So listen, I'm about to name you the 5 players that the Raiders kept over Demarcus Robinson. I can't name them dudes. I'm sorry. I forgot. Actually, I forgot their names. But yeah, they kept 5 dudes over Demarcus Robinson that nobody knows.
Yep. That's man. I feel like outlook on the season though. I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, going back to that original point I made a while back. At this point, I'm kind of happy to see the Ravens go under the radar a little bit. Like the Ravens have been like, everybody been like, yep, you gotta like literally like even just the offseason, like Lamar Jackson been a trending topic. So like, we ain't got TV today. What's Lamar doing? He just woke up. Yeah, put that on TV, right? Like that's how it's been. Like Lamar Jackson has been the trending topic this offseason, and since Lamar Jackson has come to the Ravens, that's when they became a top 5 offense. That's when they became Super Bowl contenders, because they had never been that, probably in I mean rarely ever. Like there were a couple years here and there maybe, but I'm gonna say this again, pay that man, because if you don't, somebody will. And at the same time, I think he gonna continue to prove why he's great, as he always does. No matter what you put around him, he somehow makes them that much better. And I'm excited. I'm like I said, I'm excited about JK coming back. That's another best player available thing they decided to do. I'm happy about JK. I'm happy he's here. I'm fine with him, but you didn't have to draft him at the time that you did, because you didn't need him. But anyway, because Gus is quite formidable, by the way. Like, speaking of a guy that they have screwed over and over again, literally played with Lamar his rookie year, was a dog, has been a dog since then, and they drafted somebody else to take snaps away from him.
I mean, listen, the JK pick, hindsight being 2020, the Ravens fans are going to tell you, oh, look, we needed him. Mark Ingram got hurt, and we weren't too sure about what we had in Gus, even though we knew Gus was a dog. But our run game is predicated on Lamar Jackson. So does it really matter who we step back there? Because as you saw when Tyler Huntley came in there, running game suffered. And if Greg Roman was this run game genius that he was, he'd do like Kyle Shanahan. Because I've seen Kyle Shanahan just take dudes off the street and they get 100 yards, 3 touchdowns a game. Us, it's not the same. Everything is predicated on Lamar. Lamar is our leading passer. Lamar is our leading rusher. So I just did a video the other day saying, listen, you give him $44 million, the average of the top 10 quarterbacks, and you give him $13 million, the average of the top 10 running backs, which is 57 a year, because he does both for you. He should not be leading this team in rushing. Now, Gus, listen, Gus is one of my favorite players, and people just think he's just another guy. He showed his rookie year. Like, he gets you 700 yards on minimal carries every year, 700 yards. But it really didn't matter who they stuck in there at running back, because as we know, it's a devalued position now. And we can pretty much sign a guy off the street or somebody that got cut, a la what we do at wide receiver, and put them back there, and they would be successful. So,
well, what we had to do last year.
but see, so that's another another itch in my craw, as I used to say when I was in the South. Nobody told Eric DeCosta to go out and sign the 3 oldest running backs he could find. Nobody told him that. Now, the year prior, we wasted a 3rd round pick on who was the defensive end that went to the Raiders, and he's with the Colts now. He went to Maryland. I can't think of his name.
I'm blanking on too.
Right, but we gave up a 3rd round pick for him. He came in, he played okay, and then he left. Why couldn't we do that with a 3rd or 4th round last year and trade for one of these young running backs that somebody had that they weren't using? Or more importantly, why couldn't John Harbaugh get out of his ego and let Tyson Williams play? Because he clearly was the best back of them all.
I mean, that's a whole nother, even that'll take you down memory lane right there, just that statement. Because I mean, and it was obvious, like that, like it was obvious. He showed it the first game of the season that he was formidable enough to be the guy. Like, I mean, what do you do? Fumble? If you don't go and run drills, ball security drills with this man and tighten his grip up or something, like if that's what you worried about. But like Tyson showed that he was worthy of starting over Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell,
and Devontae Freeman. So you telling me
people talk about, oh, Devontae is the best. No, it's a guy that we gonna forget about after this season, right, named Tyson Williams, because they don't want to play.
So you telling me it's okay to let the young receivers get in and learn, but for any other position, no, we need a veteran. We need somebody proven in that position. You know, we don't say, hey, we have enough defensive backs on this team. Let's let the young boys get in. Let's let Seymour get in there and take his licks and get better. No, we go out and sign everybody in the defensive backfield. We don't say, hey, let's let this young defensive lineman develop. No, we go out and get Calais Campbell, Michael Pierce. We get these other people. We don't let young players develop, except for wide receiver, where for some reason in Baltimore, which I call a Baltimore sin, is acceptable.
Yep, and they so confusing to me sometimes. Henda, what you expecting from the season this year from the Ravens? I'm gonna ask Justin, but I'm sure he gonna be like, the Ravens gonna lose in Chiefs Kingdom, because that's usually how that goes when I ask him a question.
Oh, look, I want them to lose in Chiefs Kingdom, because the first time that we beat them, we had a horrible season. So I would rather lose and go to the playoffs than win and stay at home. But I mean, as far as the season goes, so for me, it's all dependent upon the AFC East, because our first 4 games are against the AFC East. And for me, none of our starters got cohesiveness through the preseason. You know, you can talk practice and training camp and all this, but they never were in a game situation. So those first 4 games are going to dictate to me how the season goes. I expect around 10-7, 11-6 on the season. But if we get off to that fast start and we show that cohesiveness, offensively and defensively, mind you, I think we might be able to win 12 games, or we could be out the playoffs altogether.
I mean, I think that they'll win 12 games just off of probably Lamar alone again. Like, and then I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna get to the end of the season, not pay Lamar, and then we're gonna be looking at Tyler Huntley next season, and I'm gonna be real upset. Or they're gonna do the most disrespectful thing you might could do, and they're gonna franchise tag him.
But what happens if he wins the Super Bowl?
They're gonna have to pay him
What's his price tag though?
higher than it is now.
But then you
And
also
it's already high.
But you also have to take an effect that Herbert and Burrow can get contract extensions.
That's true.
So if those two get new contracts, which they probably will, especially if they have seasons like they had last year, and couple that with Lamar winning the Super Bowl, Lamar can easily sit down and say, "Hey, I want 60," and you know we're not going to pay him $60 million a year, no matter what.
And it's crazy, man. And it was funny because we was talking about that Baltimore shirt with all the Baltimore legends on it, and Joe Flacco was nowhere to be seen on that shirt. And like I've always been a big Joe Flacco guy. I wish I could find a McDonald's bag that I had with Joe Flacco on it. Like after he won the Super Bowl and everything. Because I mean, for given the situation he was in, he did all he could do. Once again, you're in a run-first offense for a run-first organization. You're not going to lead the league in passing. It's just too difficult to do. Like, I mean, and you don't really have the weapons that people think that you have. Now, Bolden was a dog, right? I'm not going to lie to you. Bolden was the perfect pickup. And Torrey Smith was good in the role that he needed to play. But
don't forget when they say they added Jacoby Jones. Don't forget that.
That's right.
Like he was some wide receiver superstar.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. I forgot about Jacoby.
Tannendos. Ed Dixon. And listen, I don't tolerate Hollywood slander, and I don't tolerate Joe Flacco slander, because does he make bonehead mistakes every now and again? Most definitely. He frustrates the hell out of me. But the one thing about Joe Flacco is, and it was proven under Gary Kubiak, when you put him in a system that fits his skills, he does well. Yeah. And as the Ravens always do, they said, "Hey, Joe, you won a Super Bowl with you and Anquan Bolden just going off. Nobody could stop you. So let's do the Raven thing and get rid of Anquan." That'll show him.
Let's get rid of Anquan. Eventually, we assign Steve Smith. Unfortunately, he gonna get hurt on you though, so that's gonna hurt you a little bit. But if we sign him, then at least we look like we did our job. And
just smoke screens. We do. People don't realize we do a lot of smoke screens. We throw out little flares here and there to distract us. Like we're over here like, oh, what's that? Even with this week, we have 2 outside linebackers healthy on the team right now. And what did we go do? We signed 2 inside linebackers just to take away from talking about Lamar. So it's what we do.
So crazy, man. So crazy. Justin, how you feeling about the season? I know you don't care about the Ravens that much, but be the outlier and give us a little Chiefs talk for a minute.
So, I got a question for you guys. Are you guys gonna pay Lamar Jackson? Are you guys gonna pay him? No. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I heard you guys.
Do the Ravens actually pay any player that they probably should? Like the crazy part is and it goes back to you literally traded picks, which you covet so much, for Unique Ngakoue.
That's what I was talking about.
Didn't even.
Yeah, that's his name. Unique Ngakoue.
Are you serious? Right? Dude, the Ravens don't pay. It's hard to get the Ravens to pay anybody after that 5th year. Sometimes before that. I don't know what it is. And I was trying to make sense of it a little bit, because I was like, okay, maybe they want the guys that work hard, the guys that are gonna come in and just do the whole thing. But then I'm like, I'm just talking myself into this, because I mean, Lamar works hard.
Yep.
I've pretty much seen it, right? Got bigger in the offseason, doesn't do anything but improve his passing, which he can't do. Doesn't do anything but improve his passing outside the numbers, which he was number 1 in last year, but he can't do. Doesn't do anything but shut down every narrative that they throw at him, because they don't want him to be successful. But nonetheless, we don't want to talk about that. They need Justin. My thing is, they need to do what the Chiefs did and pay that man, right? They need to just go ahead and pay him, because here's the thing. This is what's getting me right now, Justin. This how
they need to pay him before they lose him.
Yes, they do. Here's my thing.
Lamar to Miami.
It's looking that way.
if the Ravens want to take the cheap way out, which they often do,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you just give money to Lamar and then you can surround him with nobody like you always do, but you're still going to win games.
Wait, but
Then
listen,
you look these.
I'm sorry, but listen, isn't so and you know as well as far as Ravens fans go, they love their players until it's time for them to get paid. Like they love everybody, but once that contract comes up, oh, he's not worth that money. But
Mhm.
my biggest thing is, why can't you pay Lamar? First and foremost, you had 4 years of a rookie contract to put pieces around him. You didn't do it. Now it's his time to get paid. He shouldn't take less, but isn't that what your 35 draft picks a year for? For you to pay him and be able to draft talent around him, unless
Mhm.
EDC can't draft.
Mm. Who? And my question is like, what big money deal have they done to not be able to pay Lamar?
So they're going to point to the Ronnie Stanley deal. They're going to point to the
They couldn't even pay Orlando.
they could have paid Orlando. They they
That's-
they're gonna
Speaking of stuff that like still got me scratching my head.
right. Marlon Humphreys. They're gonna point to the Marlon Humphreys deal. They're gonna point to the Mark Andrews deal. They're gonna say these things are like, we retain young talent, and that's why we can't pay people. But they're not gonna talk to you about I think it's the 4 or 6 million that we still have in dead money for Alejandro Villanueva. People don't talk about these moves that we make that cost us dead money against the cap, like Ben Mason, for example. We drafted Ben Mason, we cut him, we owed him dead money, we brought him back, we cut him again, we brought him to the practice squad. So it's
How
moves
many
like
fullbacks you need?
in Baltimore, you can never have enough. But it's moves like that count against that dead money, and then also these other little signings like Pat McCarry, like the money that they're giving him. Like it's not starter money, but it's just enough that when you add enough of these pieces together, and I hate to say it, and people don't kill me, Calais Campbell, he literally has nothing left in the tank, and he showed that to you last year. He declined the year before, he got worse, but for the money that they're giving him, the production doesn't match up. So all of these contracts combined is what's putting us that much closer to the cap, because you say, hey, before we restructured Ronnie Stanley's deal, what were we, like a couple 100,000 away from the cap, from the limit? And you think and say, who on our team are we paying that warrants this type of money? If you look to, and I hate to say this, if you look to, let's say, Marcus Williams, and that's another one of those distraction type deals that the Ravens give out. The Ravens will always shell out money to one person to say that they did something. But if you notice, all this money that they give, they never pick the person that's number one at that position. We gave $70 million, not to the number one free safety and free agency. We gave $70 million to possibly top 10, maybe top 5. And that's why we don't have that player recognition to match the salary cap adjustments that we have.
Right. Justin, how you feeling about the AFC? I think that's gonna be my last question. Then I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't want to keep y'all too long. Keep y'all from dinner or whatever.
I got all day, bro. Listen,
I wasn't even expecting to be here. I just saw that you guys were live.
Also shout out to Juggernaut 097. Go check him out, by the way, too. He claims that he wishes the Ravens and the Chiefs played each other this year.
Hey, Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl. Actually, no, they can't play in Super Bowl. AFC Championship. That's what I meant.
AFC Championship.
I think the Ravens are going to have a good season. I mean, looking at the schedule, because the only schedule I've been really paying attention to is to my Chiefs schedule. Mm-hmm. But looking at the schedule, I mean, you got the Jets. I mean, you guys are going to, you don't think so?
Listen, like I told him, I've been watching a lot of other channels, YouTube, and the Jets. Not to say that they're world beaters, but they're putting together a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have Joe Douglas, the former Ravens executive, running the show over there. So he knows how to draft and he knows valiant players. They picked up some free agents. They picked up some tight ends. They still had Corey Davis. They drafted Breece Hall. They got Jermaine Johnson and Sauce Gardner. So and DJ Reed from, I think, Seattle. So they're putting together some pieces to a puzzle. So a lot of Ravens fans think that we're going to go in and blow out New York. I think it's going to be a lot tougher than expected. And like I said, our defense hasn't played together as a whole. Our offense hasn't played together as a whole. So this might be like preseason game number 1 for our starting team. And they might get out there and be a little dysfunctional until they get things together. And sometimes that snowball can roll down that hill and turn into a giant one. And then we're in the fourth quarter down by 10 points, and now we don't know what to do. Because once we get down, Greg Roman and John Harbaugh panic.
I'm just trying to figure out too, like you had two options to cut at safety, and you cut Deshaun Elliott. like Matt and like you can say what you want about Deshaun Elliott, but this dude literally came in, took Earl Thomas's spot after we thought Earl Thomas was going to be something,
Right.
and really played pretty well. Like I'm not saying like
Health. Him staying healthy was the factor.
That's true. I forget about that sometimes. But back to Justin. How you feeling? How you if you want to talk about the Ravens, feel free. But feel free to.
Yeah, I feel like the Ravens. If everything goes good for them, I think they end up with like a 12-5 record. I think they're gonna. It's gonna take some time, getting used to, like, especially like their new defense and stuff, and I mean Lamar Jackson, he's gonna be great. Like I said, they need to pay that man before they lose him. But yeah, I mean,
they try to replace him with Tyler.
It's going. I mean, the AFC North, is always a competitive division. I mean, the Browns. I mean, they're gonna be the Browns this year, so you don't have to really worry about them that much.
I mean, that first 11 games is gonna be tough for them, or first 11 games, 12 weeks type thing. But I think, I mean, Deshaun is still, as long as he's on the field, Deshaun is good. Now Lamar has had his number in the past, but other than that, like, I mean, Deshaun gonna make them, maybe not this year, but next year definitely. Like they're gonna be a force, and if the Bengals can keep all their young talent together, they're gonna be good. And when the Steelers figure out what they're gonna do at quarterback, I mean, the Steelers gonna be competitive anyway because they're Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I think the Ravens are gonna have a really good season. If everything goes right for them. And also I kind of want to segue and talk a little bit about my Chiefs. My Chiefs, I think we have the hardest schedule in the whole NFL right now. I mean, looking at my Chiefs schedule, I mean, I just want to tell you the Chiefs schedule right here. Let me pull it back up here.
I'll say this while you pull that up, Justin.
Talk.
I feel like the Ravens finishing last place in the division last year was kind of a blessing in disguise because it weakened, and is any schedule weak in the NFL, right? It weakened the schedule, and I think if you put the way the Ravens compete, and they're actually healthy against this quote unquote weak schedule, it could snowball the other way, the way that we wanted to snowball in the.
Indeed it can. Okay, so kind of segue into my Chiefs a little bit here. I mean, we're gonna have our first like 8 games. I mean, so we start out at the Cardinals. Okay, I think we could beat the Cardinals, and then we're at home against the Chargers. Which the Chargers, they're gonna, this whole AFC West. I mean, I've been going back and forth on who's going to be winning this division. I mean, I'm pretty sure, being biased, I'm pretty sure my Chiefs are going to win. But
it's a toss-up.
Because I've been trying to play out scenarios like in my head, because the Chargers are going to be good. The Raiders, I feel like that's the team. It's either between like the Raiders or the Broncos, being like the team that doesn't like really, because I feel like 3 of these teams from the AFC West can make the playoffs. I mean, even 4, but like I don't know if all 4, because like all 4 teams will make it. I mean, that'd be a very weird scenario,
right? But they can.
Yeah, but they can. It'd be different.
Once they have that Cowboys playoff spot, that's how you got
to. But yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, they got a pretty tough schedule here. Like they play the Cardinals, the Chargers, their second game at home. That's gonna be tough, and then we go to the Colts. They're going to be a good team this year. I mean, depending on
Matt Ryan.
Ryan. They scapegoated Carson Wentz to pick up Matt Ryan.
Did they scapegoat Carson Wentz, or was Carson Wentz just the same quarterback we found out that he was in Philadelphia?
I mean, he was the same, but like, if y'all can't beat the Jaguars again, like, this is an issue.
But in football it's about matchups. That's and true. Even with other quarterbacks, they can't beat the Jaguars. Like you lose to the Jaguars every year. Every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I felt like too last season was very any given like they talk about any given Sunday, like they that's like the NFL's moniker or whatever. But like last year really was like any given Sunday. So I'm kind of hoping this year is like that.
I feel
too.
like
Like,
it's gonna. I feel like that's gonna be like this year. Yeah, it's gonna be any given Sunday, especially with the AFC West. I feel like the AFC West are gonna beat up on each other. I feel like once we get to the playoffs, like we're just gonna be too beat up, and like we won't be able to because the Bills they're gonna be a really good team this year. Like
what y'all gonna do without Tyreek? That's what I really want to know.
I think we'll be fine without Tyreek. I mean,
Sky
He's a
Moore.
dog though.
Sky Moore, how's he looking?
I mean, he's been looking pretty good in the preseason. I've been liking that, what I've been seeing from Sky Moore.
How that boy?
So listen. So I'll liken this kind of to the NBA with the Atlanta Hawks. Remember that year with Josh Smith when they traded away all their stars and they just led the league in wins? Nobody knew who to defend. So now without Tyreek there, and you have all these other wide receiver options, now it's not we got to stop this one guy because you don't know where Patrick's going now. So now it's going to be a little bit harder to defend because he can hit Juju, he can hit Kelsey, he can hit Sky Moore, he can hit the other kid. You don't know. I just think that it might make them a better team. Now come playoffs, when you need that guy to catch that ball at the 40 and just peace out, run past everybody. I don't know if you got that, but I just think
we don't really have that now, since we lost Tyreek, but it's gonna be for teams hard to defend the Chiefs. Like, okay, who they gonna be throwing to? Who's like their number one receiver now? I mean, Travis Kelsey, he's gonna get a lot of targets. I mean, I feel like he's gonna get a lot of doubles, so it'll lead to other guys getting wide open and stuff. And also, I feel like we're also still struggling on defense because, like, Patrick Mahomes, he likes to score quick. So we're gonna have to get the defense, right back out there again. So the defense, our defense is gonna really struggle here. So it's gonna be interesting how they look. I hope the Chiefs have a better running game this year because Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to go down and score in the 2 minute drill. He doesn't need to do that every time. They can maybe drain down the clock a little bit, do some time management, run the ball a little bit. Because I mean, we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we got McKinnon, which they need to do better stuff with him. I mean, our running backs aren't bad. Maybe
I heard Latavius Murray out there if y'all need him.
What do you mean they got Ronald Jones?
Oh yeah, we got Ronald Jones. Yep, we got him from the Bucks. Yeah. So I mean, our running backs aren't bad. We just need to be utilizing them more. Become more of a run team because, like I said. Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to always be that Superman out there. He doesn't need to score so quick. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Chiefs do. But I think the Chiefs, they end up with their season, they end up a 12 and 5, maybe something like that if everything goes well for the Chiefs. But
can you imagine the Chiefs with a running game?
Oh man, that'd be deadly. Oh, that would be deadly. Because I'm still looking at my Chiefs schedule right here. I mean, the Bucks. I mean, we play them week 4. I mean, the Bucks. They don't look too scary right now. I mean, with all the injuries stuff right over there with the Bucks. The Bills. That's going to be a tough game. What else we got? I mean, we kind of get a break in game 10 against the Jaguars. We kind of get a break there.
Any given Sunday, Justin.
Any given Sunday. We be going oh yeah, this is an easy win, and then we lose to the Jaguars. That'd be terrible.
My question
would be one.
My question is, what happened versus the Bengals twice? Yeah, you had the lead. I'm sitting there.
That was terrible last year.
I'm like, and that fourth down. I mean, that play right before halftime.
Y'all. What I have nightmares still to that.
Y'all did not score the second half except for that field goal.
No.
I think. What happened? Cincinnati's defense is not that good.
I mean, the Chiefs were just way overconfident. Oh yeah, we can just chill. We don't need to score anymore.
But why? Because the same thing happened a few weeks earlier. They went up big, and then the Bengals came back and won. So history should have said, "Look, these dudes can come back at any time." Listen, if you get this opportunity again, I need y'all to beat the Bengals. We need to humble them, put them back in their place.
We played in week 13, so yeah, hopefully we get some payback on the Bengals, and I think it's gonna be at Cincinnati. So
Even better, even
yeah,
better.
beat them in their stadium. But yeah, I mean the AFC West. I mean the whole NFL this year is gonna be crazy, especially on the AFC
Yeah, see,
because like it's definitely wide open. It's definitely
Yeah.
wide open to see. And
yeah.
then with the NFC, I mean, you got your top teams up there. You know your top teams are, but yeah,
Tampa Bay, Green Bay. I was gonna say San Francisco, but never mind. They got Trey Lance. But your biggest competition is gonna be the Chargers
yeah,
because they got a Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson from the Patriots.
yeah.
So you put Mack with Joey Bosa. Ugh.
Let me ask you guys this question here, okay? So if you could take anybody from your division, like to add on your guys' team, who would you guys add?
Jamar Chase.
Right. Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
I'll take Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or
So hold on. You should see now you hit
Amari Cooper. I'll take Amari Cooper.
you hit the trigger there, bro. We could have took T. Higgins instead of Patrick Queen. That right there is a trigger for me.
Mm.
We said, hey, let's get Lamar this receiver or this linebacker that started 1 year in college that we know is a project. Let's just go with the linebacker. But yes, Jamar Chase by far for me.
Now, if for my teams here, so if I could take anybody from my division, I would definitely take Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack, one of them two. If I could take both of them, I would take both of them to put on our defense. But yeah, Joey would be the person I would take.
So
and not Joey Burrow.
how was Kalafdis looking?
He's actually not looking too bad. I mean, like it's only preseason and stuff, but like I think he's been looking pretty good in these first three preseason games.
And who's the corner? I think McDuffie.
Yeah, we picked up him also. Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of footage of him, but yeah, I mean,
I think he got hurt.
yeah. So it's definitely gonna be interesting.
If y'all can get that defense up, y'all listen. Because for years I've been picking my brain for years. How the hell has Sorensen been a starting safety in the NFL? What? Number 49. He has been your Achilles heel for years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I feel like too. It felt like finally the Ravens tried to keep up with everybody else and actually grab pass defense instead of run. Like that blows my mind when it came back to the Calais Campbell thing. Like I'm cool with it, but you trying to stop one team that runs the ball more than any other team in the league instead of trying to stop, I don't know, Kansas City. Like all these guys with all these weapons. Like
so what you're saying is you don't understand how the Ravens can go out and get safeties and corners to stop wide receivers, but not actually go out and get a wide receiver.
Don't get
that doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all.
So crazy. Y'all got any final thoughts on besides yay football is back? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I'm just excited to see a healthy Ravens team. I'm just excited to see Lamar Jackson run on the field because after that, well, he might be like, nah, I ain't do that. Y'all ain't paying me. I ain't doing that. See,
that's the thing. We need to kind of temper expectations. I'm
excited about it, but
it don't seem. But it doesn't seem like his character
Yeah.
to do something like that. But it's still listen. You don't know who gets in his ear the night before and say, "Listen, bro, they haven't paid you." I wouldn't go out there and play because all the analysts on ESPN and NFL Network, they're saying if I'm Lamar, I wouldn't play.
Mhm.
So he might wake up Sunday morning and it clicks and he's like, you know what? My back's kind of tight. I don't think I'm going to make it today.
Yep. But of course, as always, I appreciate you guys for coming by. Hendo, give me your information one more time, just say they know where they can get these unpopular opinions sometimes.
Listen. Unbeknownst to me when I first started, the opinions aren't unpopular. They are just sometimes unwarranted, so to speak. Just like at work, for some reason, they come to me to talk to the higher ups because they can't say certain things that I may be able to say, or maybe able to articulate certain points of views that they can't. So, I just try to tell some things from a different viewpoint to try to get people to understand. You don't always have to go with this narrative just because they put it out there. And I kind of caught you earlier. I kind of quote you earlier with it because people don't realize the Baltimore Ravens brainwash us. I was there for a while, like they brainwashed us, and you said it. Hey, I kind of like being an underdog because they brainwashed us into being an underdog.
Yep.
That way we don't have expectations.
You could be so dominant.
We don't have expectations because if you notice, when we're favored in games, we lose. But when we're underdogs, we puff our chests out and was like, listen, I don't like that the media and the people around here say we're not going to make it.
Yep.
And then we get really loud. But anyway, you can find me at Ravens Online on the Gatekeeper on YouTube, or you can find me at our Gatekeepers on Instagram and Twitter. And once again, I thank you for having me. Anytime, bro. This is an enjoyable conversation. Anytime you want to come to the channel, it's on and pop because I don't even really like doing this, to be quite honest with you. I don't like going live. I really don't.
I feel you. Justin, where can they find has the Chiefs Kingdom for the Kingdom, has it kicked off yet, or we wait until week 1?
It hasn't kicked off yet, no, because my buddy still hasn't made my logos yet for me, so that still needs to happen. But yeah, I have some big things coming up for my Chiefs podcast called For the Kingdom podcast, so that's going to be coming up very soon here, hopefully sooner than later here. But if you guys want to check out some wrestling stuff, you guys can check me out, Juggernaut097 on YouTube. And you guys can also follow me on Twitter at the True JSB.
He's also on the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. Where
I'm also on there.
Well. You might. But as always, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. You can always listen to Flock Nation Speaks on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. There's probably several other platforms that they throw it out to, and I appreciate them for throwing it out to them. And you can watch Facebook, YouTube. I'm testing out the waters on Facebook. I don't know, but of course, I appreciate everybody who came by tonight. I appreciate y'all for the good banter, the good conversation. I'm excited. It's week 1, literally tomorrow, Thursday. So it's gonna be definitely exciting. But as always, we'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time.